Good morning, New Life. My name is Cordelia, and at this time in the service, we'd like to take out a few minutes to just shed some light on what God is doing in the midst of his people here at New Life. This morning, I have Stephany Evans. Stephany, thank you so much for coming to share.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So, Stephany, you work with Exodus Cry. Could you share just a little bit about that ministry?
Definitely. Yeah, Exodus Cry fights human trafficking on three different branches. We fight human trafficking locally, nationally, and internationally, and there's kind of three different ways we do that. One department is we make documentaries, and we use the power of media to just tell a different story and raise awareness. Two, we do legal advocacy and really try to address the problem at the head. And then three, we do outreach. And so when Exodus Cry, which started here in Kansas City, last year they moved their headquarters to Sacramento, but they thought, man, outreach shouldn't stop just because we're leaving. We can do the legal advocacy and the media making anywhere, but outreach, you kind of have to be present. So they created the Exodus Cry Kansas City chapter, and I've been leading that for the last year now.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Could you share a little bit of like why you're so passionate about Exodus Cry?
Definitely. Well, for me, it was in college. Isaiah 61 was getting highlighted to me over and over again, and especially that idea that the Holy Spirit wants to bind up the brokenhearted and set captives free. And then I met all these women in college who'd been trafficked and sexually exploited. I didn't have the language for it then. I wouldn't have called it human trafficking. But it wasn't until later when I came to Kansas City, I got involved in the abolition movement, and all these light bulbs went off, and I realized, oh my gosh, all my friends, they've been trafficked. And so it's more common than you would think, and it was very cool to be part of their healing journey. And so just feeling like the Lord has called me to set captives free through prayer and worship and this fight against human trafficking, like what a more literal expression of setting captives free than joining in the fight. So.
Yeah,
that was my journey.
I love that. Could you also share a little bit just about our partnership? I understand that New Life has been partnering with Exodus Cry. Could you share more about that?
Definitely. We launched an experimental support group for women in the industry 2 months ago, and we said, let's do an experiment. We've never done anything like this before, and we'll learn a lot in these 2 months, and we'll just see, we'll know at the end if this is really something that we are supposed to give our time to. And so we are going to continue it, and I think one of the confirming things was that we found New Life. We've been hosting it at your church. You guys are 5 minutes from two of the clubs that we go to and do outreach at, and so we're just so thankful that you guys exist, and it's so comforting for me to know that hopefully the support group could be a bridge from the sex industry to church, and I just love knowing that they could come to this church, get emotionally and spiritually fed, and feel understood, and that's a safe place. Like, I get so excited about them going to church here. So we're just thankful that you guys have hosted us. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And then could you also share just a little bit about opportunities of like how we can continue to partner with you in this and different things that we could do?
Yeah. So while we normally do our outreaches in the evenings to the prostitution tracks and online where human trafficking is really happening at its height, we also go to strip clubs. The women go to the strip clubs. And so we do that because those women are very vulnerable to getting trafficked, and no one else is there intercepting these girls, so we're there with Jesus and just a simple message that they're loved. So the women go into certain clubs that will allow us in, but there are some clubs that we can only get in on Saturdays. And so there's been this really interesting dynamic between our Saturday strip club team and this support group. That's where a lot of the women who come to the support group are from this Saturday team. And so just to strengthen the connection between our team and New Life in hopes that these women would come to church at New Life, that they would see a familiar face, I wanted to invite a woman to join our Saturday strip club team. There is an application process, but that is something that I would really love to see happen just to strengthen our partnership. And then the second thing that we really need is someone to coordinate meals for us. When the ladies come, we always feed them, and it would be so wonderful if someone from the church who would get excited about just, coordinating meals amongst the folks who like to cook, or even someone who has that entrepreneurial spirit and would just canvass the local restaurants to donate food. However the food gets there, we would be so blessed by someone who would get excited about coordinating that.
Yeah, That's really cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing your story with us. If you guys would like to know how to get connected to Exodus Cry and to Stephany with the Saint Ministry, you can feel free to go to the Connect table or even use the app, New Life City app. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday.